Day one in the Derek Chauvin trial. Opening statements. The prosecution goes first, and they establish a timeline. 9 minutes and 29 seconds. That's how long they say Derek Chauvin's knee was on George Floyd's neck, and he did not get up, even after George Floyd stopped responding.
We learned here that Mr. Floyd at some point is completely passed out. Mr. Chauvin continues on as he had. Knee on the neck, knee on the back. You'll see he does not let up, and he does not get up.
Now, the opening statements from the defense lasted less than a half an hour. Their main argument that it was not asphyxiation, but it was George Floyd's underlying health conditions and drugs in his system. That is what caused his death.
The evidence will show that when confronted by police, Mr. Floyd put drugs in his mouth in an effort to conceal them from the police.
And Robin, witness testimony began as well, and a man who turned out to be a star witness, well, his name is Donald Williams. He's an eyewitness to what happened, but also worked as somewhat of an expert because he knows mixed martial arts and chokeholds. To that, he was talking about Derek Chauvin's intent, at least from his eyes. But bottom line, this man watched the final moments of George Floyd's life.
He was going through distress because of the knee, and he vocalized it, that I can't breathe, I need to get up, and I'm sorry. And his eyes slowly rolled to the back of his head. He's seen the blood coming out his nose.
And Robin, in the middle of Donald Williams' testimony, the cameras went out, so court adjourned early. So coming up today, Donald Williams will be back on the stand. We will have it all for you beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Gavel to gavel coverage. Back to you.
Yeah, the MMA fighter, the witness testimony from him really showed his expertise. Mike, thank you. A 911 dispatcher told the court in the Chauvin trial why. She called police basically on the police, and it was because of what she said she saw on the live cameras that day, and that it wasn't sitting right with her. Now, she was among the first people to testify what happened May 25th. That call got played for the jury.
You can call me a snitch if you want to, but we have the cameras up for 320's call. Oh, did they already put him in the, they must have already started moving him. And 320 over at Cup Foods.
Okay.
I don't know if they had used force or not. They got something out of the back of the squad, and all of them sat on this man. So I don't know if they needed you or not, but they haven't said anything to me yet.
Live in Minneapolis now, Omar Jimenez covering this trial. Omar, good morning. So she was watching in real time what was happening, but questioned herself at one point because it looked like it was frozen.
That's right, Robin. She was very concerned, honestly, about the pace of how things were unfolding because whatever was happening seemed to be very, very prolonged. Now, Jenna Scurry, she was the first witness called by the state in this trial, and she is a Minneapolis 911 operator involved in the dispatching of the officers to the Cup Foods on May 25th, 2020. And she was watching through basically a nearby surveillance camera and saw what was happening play out in real time as George Floyd went down to the ground and Chauvin's knee eventually went onto his neck. And she testified to how she was feeling in that moment. And here's a little bit of what she had to say.
What did you think about this when you looked back and saw that it hadn't changed?
I first asked if the screens had frozen.
Why did you ask that?
Because it hadn't changed.
Okay. And did you find that it had frozen?
No.
How did
well,
you
I
know?
was told that it was not frozen.
Did you see the screen change yourself?
Yes, I saw the person's moving.
So what did you start thinking at that point?
Something might be wrong.
And she thought something might be wrong, so much to the point that she alerted a higher up, a sergeant, as to what was going on, saying that she didn't want to be a snitch, but she also felt like she needed to say something about what she was seeing play out in real time. And there is no way she would have known in that moment that that would have become what it did over this past 10 months.
And we also had the defense go as well. But what new witness testimony can be expected today, Omar?
Yeah, Robin. So at the end of the day yesterday, we were in the middle of testimony with Donald Williams. He was the third witness called over the course of this trial, and prosecutors had been doing their portion of the cross-examination. We expect that witness testimony to continue into this morning since they stopped midway through, giving the defense a chance to ask him questions. He, of course, comes from a mixed martial arts background, as he testified to, and was standing at the scene just feet away from Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck. neck that day, and at many points yelling at the officers to get off of Floyd. So we'll expect to hear more of that in testimony. We'll also hear from other witnesses that are called over the course of this, including at some point in the future, we are expecting to hear from current Minneapolis Police Chief Jodi Arias, who prosecutors claim is going to testify that Chauvin's actions did not line up with police training. Robin?
And so far, we have heard from the defense them claim that this officer was trained to do exactly what he did, or did exactly what he was trained to do.
Exactly, and that was a clue that we believed the defense, or that was a thread, I should say, we believed the defense was going to pull on prior to opening statements even began, that the attorney, Eric Nelson, was going to argue that Derek Chauvin's actions were within police procedure and that he did not intend to harm George Floyd. And we got a clue on that latter portion when he spoke about the crowd becoming a growing threat, or a perceived growing threat in that moment, and in his words, diverting attention away from the care of Mr. Floyd and toward that crowd. So you're getting a sense from both sides as to what they are going to argue either in favor of or against Derek Chauvin.
All right, thank you so much. Omar Jimenez, continuing our coverage. I appreciate you. You know, the testimony may last for about 4 weeks, and HLN will be continuing the gavel-to-gavel coverage for you beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern. So that happened in downtown Minneapolis following the testimony in day one. Demonstrators showed their support for the Floyd family. They called for justice. Organizers say they intend to return throughout the trial.